everyone, it's Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you today about the full moon on December 29th and the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, and how we're going to have that energy not just for the next 2 weeks or the next month, but for a year. And so I thought it would be important to go over this for each sign. So for Aries natives, this eclipse lights up your 4th house. That's home and family. So you're doing more things about, maybe taking care of the home or doing some renovations. Maybe you're thinking about moving or, just doing things with your family. This, of course, is in an inconjunct energy with this Jupiter-Saturn. Everybody's going to be doing the inconjunct, so that's nothing to worry about. But what this Saturn and Jupiter are doing is they're now sitting up in your 11th house, and that is your house of hopes and dreams and wishes for the future. Now, Jupiter gives you this ability to achieve incredible success. Saturn says, yes, you can get to the top of the mountain, but you really have to work at it. And so everything that you want to achieve is all in direct proportion to how much you want to work at it. So the bigger the dream, the more responsibility, but that doesn't mean to not go for the dream. It just means that you have to put in the deep work, the focus, the study, and of course, with the Jupiter and Saturn up in your 11th house, it is also very easy to get distracted. And so it's really important for you to find ways, even if there are ways using technology, so that you can bring your attention back to what it is that you truly want. Now, when it comes to what you want, of course, we're looking at Venus, and Venus rules your 2nd house. So I would say that money is pretty high on your list. When we look at your ability to accumulate money, the Venus is making a little semi-sextile to that Pluto. So it says you can make more money this year, but I shouldn't say this year. You can make more money this month, but what's happening is that you're slightly irritated by it. So you have to move towards the things that are a little outside your comfort zone, and that's what brings you money. Now, when we look at the Venus with the Mars, the co-ruler of your 11th house, we don't see an aspect, so that one's a little too far. When we are looking at the Venus in relation to Uranus, the plus is that you do still have that Uranus going through the 2nd house, so there's always going to be money opportunities through working for somebody else. It is not showing great accumulation this time, more accumulation when it comes to doing passive income sources. So this is a time to work your regular job, but then also take your spare time and work on your big business idea to look how you can manifest more by really focusing in on eliminating distractions and basically getting out of your own way. So for Taurus natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your 3-9, and so we're talking about writing and teaching and publishing. We would be talking about travel, but not many of us are going anywhere these days, and so there's maybe a desire to travel, or maybe you're getting in the car and taking a drive or something like that. But this is more about mentally going out there and looking at what it is that you want to do maybe in the future. And that brings us to that Saturn-Jupiter conjunction right at the top of your chart, which talks about whether this career is the one that you want to do, because these two planets together bring you an opportunity for success. But it does say that you need to look at how technology or how groups of people play their part. So while Saturn and Jupiter were in Capricorn, going through your houses of education and wisdom and knowledge and all of that, you were collecting together the information needed to apply that to something bigger. And now you are in that period where it's time to take what it is that you know and see how that can affect the world. And so that is getting out of the student realm and going into the professional time. And so yes, that can feel a little bit scary, but the Jupiter here protects you. It allows you to expand what you want to do. It says that opportunities are here, but the Saturn does say you still have to interview, you have to show up and do the right answers and all that. It also does indicate that you working on technology and your technology skills can really help, because this combination can give you a lot of confidence or it can take it away. And so if you go in feeling like, yeah, I'm familiar with your software, I know these platforms, then you can do really well. So when we look at your finances, we are doing Mercury up in your 9th house, which is really interesting because that is, what kind of knowledge or information do you need to be working on or learning? Maybe this is taking like a brief course in accounting or looking at different information for investing. You are not showing a lot of accumulation of money through investments or passive income sources or even your business. You're showing some spending. So this is probably you investing in something or investing in yourself and not so much ready to accumulate. Now, on the other hand, you do show accumulation of money is quite possible in a job or working for someone else. And this includes like being a studio musician or being an artist who works very regularly, like being an artist for Disney or something like that. So it's still creative fields. It's not just, everyday jobs, but it has that component of having somebody who's setting hours for you. They are requesting deadlines or things like that. So you do show money accumulation through that area. So for Gemini natives, you guys are doing this full moon in the 2-8, and so finances are really on your mind. When you do this particular full moon, you might be feeling like you have less money or maybe you're taking more time off right now. And so you're just feeling like money has to be a focus. So it's good that we're talking today. When we are looking at the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, what we have is your ability to create something in your life that is absolutely huge, where you take your idea and make it into a business or make it into a profession. But you do so by having very detailed plans, by being able to write everything out in steps and say, all right, well, today is Tuesday, and so I'm doing this step, and then the next day is Wednesday, and I'm doing this step. The more detailed the plans, the more ability you have to access the Jupiter, which is going to bring you success. This also does say that education is probably going to be on your mind for the whole year. And education is fine, but recognize that Jupiter's only going to be there for a year and Saturn will be there longer. So once Jupiter leaves, you're going to want to take what you know and apply it to something that is actually making you money. So you want to go from the student to the professional within a year. And so accelerated programs, then some things where you can get things done really quickly, those are ideal for you. So when we look at your finances, you are pulling money right from your desire to bring in money. So the fact that you're waking up every day and saying, I need money, is what's pulling in money for you. Now, you do have a nice 8th house with the Sun and Mercury and Pluto up there. That does indicate that there are some investment opportunities you need to explore or business opportunities, perhaps a partnership with that Venus in the 7th house, but you're not showing an accumulation of money this time. So I think more money is going out as you're building the business or buying equipment or things like that, because there's no aspect going on between the moon and Saturn. So now when we look at the relationship between moon and Mars, we also don't have an aspect. So that does mean that even though you show an income, maybe from a regular job, you're not making more money than usual. It's just basically the same as before. I just see more opportunities for you to find good investments and find business opportunities, and you need to take those, and those will pay you in dividends down the road. So Cancer natives, you guys are doing your full moon. So that means that this time is a time where you can have more confidence, more sense of self. This is where you identify who you are and you connect with more people in the world, which during these times is challenging to do, but the people that you connect with are going to be significant, so you do want to make the effort. This does say some good things about relationships in your life, that if you're looking for love or something like that, that you have more opportunities, so you want to get online and start connecting with people. Or if somebody you have in your life wants to fix you up on a blind date, this is the time to do it. But you know me, I want to focus on money and business, and so let's talk about Jupiter and Saturn going through your 8th house of money derived from passive income sources, business, or family things. So you have this Jupiter, Saturn that are going to be traveling through there for a long time. Jupiter for a year, Saturn for longer. And so this is about you being very successful in investments or your own business, as long as you're willing to take the responsibilities that come with it. Now that means not just handing money to a stockbroker and saying, please make me more money. It is you doing the investigative work and figuring out what are the good investments. It is also about, if you have a business, that you are willing to work side by side with your employees at times, if necessary, where you're bootstrapping your business. It also, of course, is an Aquarius, and so technology is necessary. So embracing technology, learning the different things that are going to help you to succeed. And that's, again, about taking that responsibility. So when we look at your money, it's so amazing because you are pulling money right from that 7th house. So you are doing both relationship energy, but also business partnership energy very strongly. In other words, the more people you meet during this period, the more money you're going to make. You also have a fabulous aspect between the Sun and Uranus, and that does mean that you can accumulate money in your business or through investments and passive income sources. And so you really want to look at how you can start to invest or how you can get involved in a business, because you're actually going to have some really good income potential over this next few weeks. So when we look at money derived from career, now you do show that there is a possible disruption going on, because we're not showing accumulation of money. You do show you that you're making money, but that it's not as much, or it's about the same as usual, and because there is no relationship going on between the Sun and Venus. And so it looks like you're enjoying the work, but unfortunately it's just not paying enough, and you'll probably have to make a change later in the year to make more money. Okay, Leo natives, you're doing this full moon in the 6/12 with the moon lighting up your 12th house, and sometimes people say, 12th house, because that can be hidden issues and problems and fears and things like that. But remember, the 12th house also removes boundaries, and that means that whatever's been holding you back, whatever obstacle has been in your way, that can dissolve away. And so if you are willing to face your fears and say, you know what, I may not like being the center of attention, but I'm going to do it. Or I may not feel that my work is ready to put out into the world, but it is time, because we are doing this Saturn, Jupiter in Aquarius, and it's right on your descendant. And what this means is you are taking things that you have done as an individual and applying this to the bigger world. And this is directly about how what you have done can help others. And that's that 7th house. And that does indicate that you can be quite successful if you will take whatever it is you've created, your writing, the teaching you want to do, your art or your music, and put it out in the world, and risk, of course, that some people are going to say they don't like it. And this can be very hard on Leo natives, because you sometimes want to be so universally liked. But this says you've got to risk it. Now, it also does indicate that your success is in direct proportion to how hard you're going to work, because Jupiter will help you. It'll open doors. But the Saturn says you have to climb the mountain. So that said, we look at where you're drawing money from, and it is that Mercury in the 6th house. And so we know that it is about getting up in the morning and working on your business, or working, getting to work on time and things like that, looking at what responsibilities you have and going and doing those. And you have a great chart this time for accumulating money through passive income sources or your own business, because Mercury is doing a lovely sextile to Neptune. Now, sextiles are interesting because sextiles only work if you apply the energy. So if you just sit around, nothing happens. But if you do something, then lots of opportunities can come in. And so this could be researching investments, or working on your business, or, activating that Saturn and Jupiter by finding a business partner. Now, when we look at your money that derives from your career, then we are very focused on that Mercury in the 6th house. And that does mean that you are working and focused on making maybe more commission or more sales or things like that. And that is very possible to do. But remember that 6th house is a little hidden from you, and so you can get distracted. So as long as you can keep yourself on track, you're going to do quite well this month. So for Virgo natives, you guys are doing this full moon in the 5/11 with the moon lighting up your 11th house. That's your hopes and dreams and your wishes. And so there's a lot of emotion around these, as you may have been feeling a lot of disappointment over the last year of, having all of the things that you wanted to do basically stopped by circumstances in the world. But now we have things that are going to start clearing up. And right now we're just taking the baby steps in that area. But now with the moon there in the 11th house, it's time to look at what it is that you do want, that you can achieve in these circumstances, and start to put that into your vision. And that leads us to that Saturn, Jupiter in Aquarius in the 6th house, which is your house. It's a very strong area for you. And so even though by sign we're doing the inconjunct and it's incompatible energy, it just means you gotta get out of your comfort zone. You have to do things differently. This would indicate that it's necessary for you to automate or delegate or even eliminate a lot of the things that you do during the day, because those things are holding you back from what it is you really want to do. Now, it is with this combination, there is an energy of taking responsibility, but you have to figure out what is truly your responsibility, and are you still being responsible if you actually automate the system? Like if you hire somebody else to do something, you're still being responsible for the results of that thing. So this can work to your benefit. Now, this also does say that your success is assured if you work hard at this. And you're a Virgo native, so of course you can work hard. So this is about, really getting rid of the distractions and focusing in on what's important. And as you do, your confidence grows. You are able to get out of your comfort zone. You're able to take risks that are really going to pay off. So when it comes to your income, you are pulling money from that Venus in the 4th house. So there may be something going on with doing a business with your family, or maybe you are renting out a room, or you do real estate or things like that. So we do have some opportunities. Of course, working at home would be Venus in the 4th. And so you do have money opportunities coming from there. The Mars is up in that 8th house. So you are looking possibly at investments and things like that. But with the Chiron there, I think you're still a little gun shy, because we don't have an aspect between Venus and Mars. We're not showing accumulation of money. We are showing that you're making about the same, or perhaps you're putting money in and not ready to take money out. So this is you more planting seeds for a harvest later. The same with money derived from career, which with the moon happening up there, you might be a little concerned about the stability of your job. And so that's not necessarily the case, because it is just the moon. It just says there's some fluctuations going on, but there is no aspect between the moon and Venus. So that does indicate that there is possibly a time over the next few weeks where your job's not so stable. Maybe you should be looking for something else or working on your own business. It's with Saturn and Jupiter in your 6th house, I'm going to say you're probably working, you're just underpaid, and that means you need to get a plan for getting something better. So for Libra natives, you guys are doing this full moon in the 410 with the moon right up at the top of your chart, making you extremely noticeable at this time. And that means you should be getting out there, maybe teaching or putting your creative work out there or applying for a job or things like that. So, but of course, because it's the moon, it's a little unnerving to do. And so you might be hesitating. Now, it's interesting because that pulls us back down to that Jupiter and Saturn now in your house of risk-taking. And so you're feeling both like you want to, jump off the cliff, but you also are extremely concerned about the risks involved because of the Saturn. So you are right now a mix of confidence and lack of confidence. And so there is a great deal of need for planning at this time, which seems opposite of what the 5th house would be, because the 5th house does want to take risks and they do like to just stand up and roar and say, here I am. But the problem is that Saturn does want a very detailed plan. And so if you can put yourself on a schedule, you could do very well. I think that the problem having, that Neptune traveling through the 6th house, there's this idea that, yes, you could do something bigger, have a business or go out and expand what you're doing, but how are you going to fit it into all the things you're already doing? And so this means that you have to let go of those fears and let the universe work out some of those details. So first you get the plan, but you allow the universe to figure out what it's going to remove from your life so that you have time to fit in the things you want to do. So when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from the 4th house, which could indicate that you are doing some sort of work at home, or you work in something that deals with residences or homes in general. You're also doing that co-ruler in the 7th house. That is, the more people you meet, the more money you make. You really want to focus on and watch that Mars, because that's the one that's going to change. That Pluto is going to be down there in that 4th house, constantly telling you that family is a source of money, home is a source of money. You're just going to hear me say that over and over, but watch that Mars, because pretty soon that Mars is going to leave your 7th house. So you only have a little bit more time of really connecting to influential people who could help you make money. Now, when we look at your ability to accumulate money through passive income sources or your business, you're doing a little irritating semi-sextile. So that indicates that you're working a lot, you're putting things out there, but you are making more money than usual, which is better than what we're seeing with your regular job, which looks like it's about status quo. Not much is changing there. And I think that you're finding this even more irritating. So while your work does look steady, the only way that you're bringing in the extra money is by doing the extra things or doing things that do irritate you at least a little bit. So for Scorpio natives, you guys are doing your full moon in the 3-9 with the moon lighting up your house of education and knowledge and wisdom, and your willingness to stand up and say, this is what I believe, these are my rules, this is the standards that I have for myself. Now, it's very interesting because we're relating things now down to this Saturn, Jupiter, now at the base of your chart. Now, this means that it's just crossed an angle for you, and that does indicate that there could have been some major changes in your life over the last few months. Maybe you've decided to move, maybe there's been losses, maybe there's been big changes. And so one of the things that you have to be aware of is that this combination, while it can bring you enormous success, can make you feel a little pessimistic. And so you do want to do things that will help with that, by, watching some humor or, finding a friend to talk to. But like I said, this can bring you big success. Now, what it does say, it's necessary for you to break free of family patterns. It is necessary for you to go out and beyond what your family has deemed as acceptable or reasonable, or just that maybe you do everything with the family and you don't venture out and meet new people. Because this Jupiter and Saturn is about taking what you know as an individual and applying it to the bigger world. And when you do, you can become quite successful. So this is about knowing when to act and knowing when not to do something. And so we're not talking about, standing up in the house and saying, Mom, Dad, I'm not going to do anything that you want. It is looking to take what it is that you've gotten from the family, what's been valuable, and use that, but letting go of negative family patterns and limitations or fears that have come down generation after generation and breaking free of that. So when we look at your money, you're pulling money from that Jupiter in the fourth house, and that does indicate that you might be working at home or you might be doing something related to residences or home, like construction, or maybe you are starting a home cleaning service or home health care or things like that. So home and family is a direct source of money. And so there may be this desire to start a business with the family and things like that. All of that is fine as long as it goes out to the bigger world. Now, you also do show that accumulating money is a little bit difficult because there's no relationship between Jupiter and Mercury this time. That is something that is going to change. So you're making about the same as what you've made before. Right now, you're really focused on, how can I learn what I need to learn, and how can I really know what I know? And that's connected to that moon. With that Venus in the second house, people see the Venus and they get all excited, but that's actually more of an aspect of spending money than actually making money. So again, for your passive income sources and also your money derived from career, it looks like it's pretty much status quo, and we are going to see some increases later, but not this time. So Sagittarius natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your 2-8, and that does mean that you're very focused on money, especially business income and passive income sources. Maybe you're wanting to invest in real estate or something like that. And so you're very focused on it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it. You might be looking at your resources and saying, I don't have enough to invest, but I really want to invest. And so this is where we come back to that Jupiter and Saturn in your third house, and we look for a change of thinking, because this is about you fighting pessimism, you fighting negativity, and learning to speak to yourself in a way that solves problems, because this combination could be huge for you. This is about you can get all of the answers that you need if you're willing to put in the deep thinking work. And that is, that you actually look at the questions you're asking yourself and you hone it down to really good questions. Not a question like, why does this always happen to me? But instead a question like, how can I take my annual income and make it my monthly income? That's a useful question. If you're willing to start to work the problem, and start to look for all of the different options. It's in Aquarius, and that's about creativity. It is about a community, and so it's about outsourcing your questions and seeing what other people would say about it. And interestingly enough, you are pulling money right from that Saturn in the third house, and now it's in a new sign. So everything is different. This is about looking at how technology and community can help you get your message out there. So if you've been thinking about doing more social media, this is the time to do it. And I don't mean consuming the content, I mean creating the content. Now, your second house looks wonderful with that Sun, Mercury, Pluto there. Although you do have to watch the spending, I think that because, you're going to be naturally frugal, having that Capricorn energy there, that anything you do buy is going to be, for your business, and that's great. But you still have to watch out for the spending because the sun being there. So you don't show a lot of accumulation of money this time. This is more of a planning period. This is about, getting together, the different questions you're going to ask your broker, or opening your brokerage account, or starting your business, getting your website up and things like that. So we do show that money, especially from passive income sources and business sources, is about the same as usual. That actually goes the same for your money derived from career. It looks pretty steady. It doesn't show that it's a huge jump from previously. You're just focused on maybe getting your resume updated, and if you want, looking for a new job, because I do see some dissatisfaction with how things are going, and so you'll want to make some changes. So Capricorn natives, you guys are doing this full moon in the 1-7, and the moon is lighting up your house of relationships. That means that the more people you meet, the better. And of course, terrible time to be meeting people, right? Because we can't go out and socialize. And so you have to do it maybe through direct message or reaching out to people on social media, maybe groups and organizations, because that's super important now. But there is going to be some hesitation. You might be feeling that, after, months and months of lockdown, that you're feeling like you don't want to see people, that you want to be in seclusion. And so might be something that you need to overcome. Now, we are focusing right now on Saturn and Jupiter, and these two have gone into your house of money. Yay. So that is fantastic. Now, Jupiter, of course, expands whatever it touches, and Saturn restricts and compacts whatever it is. And so when we put this combination together, we can be incredibly successful if we're willing to do the work. And so that is, you can have that view from the mountaintop, but first you have to climb the mountain. And so that is that all the money that you want is possible, but first it starts with tracking your money, figuring out how your money can work for you. And so your new basically career, which is the Saturn, has gone into that house of money, and it says get serious about this. Jupiter is going to be there helping you out for about a year. Saturn is going to be there for longer. And so you really do want to say, what's my money plan? How can I pay off debt? How can I fund all of the things that I want to do? That's what these two are here to help you do. So you're pulling money both from that Uranus in the 5th and of course the Saturn in the 2nd. The Uranus in the 5th wants to take chances. It wants to take risks. And that would be okay only if you're willing to do all the work and take the responsibility to, read the prospectus, to do the due diligence, to really look into it. But Uranus just wants to throw the dice and walk away. And so you have to be a little careful about that. So it's okay to do some sort of investing and things like that, but you want to do small investments until things prove themselves. Now, that said, you do show really good energy from money derived from passive income sources like a family business or investments or your own business, because the sun is making a lovely trine to that Uranus. But again, that's going to get you to want to throw the dice. And so I just want to make sure that you understand that to get the really big gains, you have to put the work in. When it comes to your money derived from career, you look like you're making about what you've made before, which is a little less than you should, or maybe a lot less than you should. You seem to be underpaid. Uranus is not making an aspect to Mars. It's not making an aspect to Pluto. And even though that situation is going to change pretty soon, the change happens because you start to get focused on your money. Sometimes just plugging the holes will give you more money. If less is going out, then you can have more abundance, and that will give you the mental bandwidth to go out and find something better. So Aquarius natives, you guys are doing this full moon in the 6/12 with the moon in the 6th house, really highlighting your daily routines and habits. That is, how are your habits helping you, or how are they sabotaging you? Anything from weight loss to accumulating money to, finding love. All of these things are based on the things that we do every day. But we live in a world where distractions have been engineered to be extremely distracting. And so you want to make sure that you are using every available technology or hack to stop distractions from eating up all your time. Now, of course, we are focused today on that Saturn, Jupiter in your own sign of Aquarius. This is huge. Jupiter has not been in Aquarius for 12 years. Saturn hasn't been there for about 3 decades. And so you have now all of this potential because these two are sitting together, and you have at least a year, probably longer, to achieve your goals. This is, though, very much about All the success in the world can come to you if you're willing to take the responsibility and do the work. And that is getting out of your own way, letting go of insecurities, letting go of this lack of confidence, letting go of this imposter syndrome, and just saying, you know what, I'm going to do it. And that I have this unique voice that I can say, you know, I can be myself and be out there. You don't have to copy anybody. You don't have to do something like somebody else has done. You just start doing what you want to do, and that's what pulls you out into the world. So this is about also taking all the things you've been creating and thinking about, and instead of keeping them to yourself, putting them out there for your community. Now, you are pulling money from that Neptune as well as that Jupiter, and that means that stuff that has your name on it, stuff that you're proud of, that you worked hard at, that you're willing to put out into the world, that's what's going to bring you money. And when we look at your ability to accumulate money from passive income sources or a family business or your own business or things like that, you actually have some really good energy because that Neptune's making a lovely sextile to the Mercury. But unfortunately, that Mercury is in your 12th house right now. And so that means that you do have to either do something magical or, you know, do some feng shui or things like that, or you're going to have to meditate on this. You first, you know, you picture the sale going through, you picture that you're going to find the right investment, or you picture that your business is expanding, and then it happens. So you need to incorporate that 12th house energy to eliminate the boundaries, to eliminate the fear, and that's when you really can accumulate money. This is a sextile. That's why the action is required. Now, when we look at your money derived from your career, we do have Venus up there, so you may receive a bonus or something like that, but it's fairly small because we're not showing an ability to accumulate money through working for somebody else right now. So you're making about the same as usual. And I do feel like with that moon in the 6th house that you're feeling underpaid and overworked. So it is probably time to be looking at getting something else. Pretty soon the sun and the Mercury are going to be in your 1st house, and that's going to help a lot. So right now you're just pretty much cruising along. For Pisces natives, you guys are doing this full moon in the 5/11 with the moon lighting up your house of creativity and individuality. There's such a strong desire that you have right now to create something and maybe put it out in the world, but maybe you're scared. Maybe you think that, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. And you get to that point where perhaps you're creating, but you're not putting it out there. Or worse, you're just thinking about creating, dreaming about creating, but not actually doing. And so that is extremely important for you to focus on so that you can pull things from your heart, from your creative mind, and put them out into the world. Now, we're talking today very focused on that Saturn, Jupiter, which have now gone into your 12th house. And so sometimes people are going to say, oh, 12th house, that's hard. But it is also the place where you remove all boundaries between you and the universe. That means if you want your social media to go out and be viral, if you want to reach more people and have a bigger following, this is what you need. You need the boundaries to be dissolved. Now, it does say that you do have to put in the work. So it means that behind the scenes, you are working away at something. And when you show it to people, you're like, oh yeah, I just did this in 2 seconds. You seem to be doing things effortlessly, but it's because you're working so hard behind the scenes. It also says that you need a very crisp, clean list of what it is that you want to accomplish and the steps you're going to take to do it. Because things can get so fuzzy with Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house that you can feel like time just zips away, the distractions just take up all of your energy, they just eats up your day. You want to make sure that you have a very strong list of, okay, I have an extra hour, I'm going to work on this. I have an extra 10 minutes, I'm going to watch this video on how to do this. You need a very strong list. Now, Jupiter brings you luck, a guardian angel. Saturn helps you face your fears by bringing your fears to you and saying, okay, here's what you're afraid of. You shine a light on that. You say, oh, I don't need to be afraid of that. And you move forward. So this is a very good period for you. When it comes to your income, you are pulling money from that Mars in your second house of money, so you're still very, very focused on making money. That's great. Mars is going to leave this house, so you really want to, as much as possible, say, where's the money? How can I make more money? How can I find investments that'll work for me? Now, you're not showing accumulation of investments right now, but because the Venus is so elevated, you are going to be in the way of getting tips and things like that. People are going to tell you ideas, but right now this is more of an investigative time, or maybe you're just getting into the investment, so it's not time to take profits yet. When we look at your money derived from career, your house of your 11th house is wonderful with Sun, Mercury, Pluto there. So this is a time where you may be getting a raise, or you might be getting some sort of commission increase. You're not accumulating the money yet, which means that either you are just kind of catching up from having a deficiency in money before, or what's more likely is these things haven't kicked in until they won't kick in until the next period. But your money derived from career is so strong that if you're looking for a new job or something like that, it's quite likely that you'll get it. If you want to stop and grab your boss and say, hey, I'd like a raise, you have a good chance of getting that, or certainly more hours. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned. LaRue wants to say hi.